Hello everyone, it's Jenny from A Stamping Journey. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator in Wollongong, just south of Sydney, Australia. Thanks for joining me on another project. Today's card is a really cool fun fold. I don't know what else to call it, but a Dotty Peekaboo card. I'm going to show you how to create it, just giving you some tips how to add this little window on your card. I'm using the beautiful Irresistible Blooms stamp set and the coordinating dies. So this is available now as part of the online exclusives. It's a really gorgeous bundle and I love all the coordinating dies and the beautiful paper. This is just some of the prints. These are what we're going to use today. So I can't wait to show you. So stick with me. I have a few tips getting this little peekaboo window happening. So what you will need is a piece of cardstock. So I've cut this to 29.7 by 10.5. I've scored it at 14.8, or it's 11 inches by 4¼ scored at 5½. You'll also need a piece of, this is another lovely print from the Hello Irresistible paper. This piece measures 10.5 centimeters by just a bit under 14.8. You want to have a little bit so it can fold over. Or it is 4¼ by just under 5½ inches. You'll also want a piece of acetate. This is some of the clear plastic, a little bit more rigid. So this piece measures 10.5 centimeters by 6.5 centimeters, or about 4¼ by 2½ inches. So there are other little pieces that you'll need, but we'll get to those as we go. So we already have our cardstock cut. So now we'll need to bring in our paper trimmer. We're going to cut off the bottom edge of this cardstock. So just grab this. You're going to cut it off, 6 centimeters, about 2 1/8 inch. Just give that a little chop. Now with this edge die, don't throw this piece that you cut off. This is the piece we're going to use. So position this dotty die somewhere on your card towards the top, because you want that bottom edge piece too. So just position that. We're going to run that through the die cut machine. So I'll just run and do that. Okay, so we've cut that out. Now just a tip, you'll want to run that through a couple of times because of the fine detail and the lines in it. So just pop all those extra bits out. Now because it's also not a very wide piece, it might come away in 2 sections. So just be aware of that too, but that's okay because we can still use that. So just using your brush, just pull that out. We'll get rid of those pieces. Don't get rid of this. So there's our little dotty edges. There are 2 pieces. We'll use them both. And you have your edge that you cut off. So just bring your trimmer back in. And we're just going to straighten this up. So it should be just about just over 2 centimeters, or just under 1 inch. Really, you can make it any distance, but about 2 centimeters. So this is going to be a bottom section of your card. So now we have cut and prepared that part of the card. Let's put your acetate on your card. So you'll want to grab your piece of acetate. The trick is this is really clear, so just be aware of where you put it down because it gets buried and lost. So we're just going to bring a seal in. Just the Stampin' Seal is really good to use on this. So just run that across the top edge. There's no right or wrong side on the acetate. And we're going to just line it up so it's straight. And just fold the card back down on it. So that will give it a good seal already. Then what you want to do is add a little bit of seal just down the bottom, or you can position it just in place first so you know how much to do. So we're just going to add some seal just on that bottom part of the acetate too. So it's a good idea to close the card up while you put this piece down. Line that up with the bottom edge. Oh, it's sticky stuff. So just line that up with the bottom edge. And there you have your window. You can create this idea with any of your stamps and dies, creating that little peekaboo window. It's such a cool effect. But now what we want to do is stick these little dotty edges down. So I'm going to use the silicone mat for this, and you can use a fine tip glue or just your Tombow is fine. Now I just add a bit on the mat just so I don't get, sometimes you squeeze it out and it runs everywhere. Especially today here, it's really hot, so it just runs. You don't want to have too much, so you can just add some little bits. Mainly I do it in the circles or in the wider sections. The silicone mat is really great because then it's not going to stick everything. I've only just discovered this little trick. I hope you, not like me, you've probably been using it all the time. But it's so much easier. I would use scrap paper and then I'm getting it stuck everywhere. Yeah, so we're just going to pick that up. Now you can have that dabbed off on some scrap paper if you want. Now I think it's good to use the both sections because it's just a little bit narrow if you're going to just use the one. Bring the card in and just, I'm going to put this up the top here. So don't press it down hard until you've got it all happening. Spread it out. We're getting the glue stuck around a bit. Maybe I need silicone fingertips too so it doesn't stick to my fingers. This is the fiddly part. What I've found helpful too, I'll use this. This is always helpful. Now we're just going to add the other little section of it. Now what you might like to use is those adhesive sheets and cut the die out. It just might be a little bit fiddly peeling off the pieces, but and once again we're going to stick this down below it. It's a little bit fiddly, a little bit messy, but I think it's totally worth it. There you go. So you get to have that little window, but we haven't finished the card yet because I've got some other tips for you. So let's finish the rest of it. We can put our glue away there. We'll bring that back in when we come to do the flowers. So for the actual card, we're going to stamp the background. So I'm using the soft sea foam. It's a beautiful soft colour. It's lovely. Right, so just give it a little ink. We want to have some splashes of dots up in the corner and down here. Going to add a little strip. So that's just going to go down the bottom edge. So test it out. If you want to trim it down a bit, you can. We're just going to leave it like that. So add some adhesive. I'm putting that down towards the bottom on this card. So I've already die cut the circle. I've just used one of the circles from the Stylish Shapes dies. So we'll just ink up our sentiment. Always a good idea just to give it a check that you haven't got any shadow. And press that down. For our flowers, now you got the beautiful flowers in the stamp set. You can stamp those out and colour them, but I'm actually going to use some of this gorgeous paper. So we're going to, and you know the great thing I discovered? These dies actually fit the paper. So there's a large flower and a small flower die. So they fit on the paper, and also the leaves. I have to be honest, I didn't realize this when I made the original card. I've only just discovered that now. But how cool is that? So you can just die cut those out, or if you could fussy cut them with scissors if you choose to. So we're just going to run that through our die cut machine. What else I'm going to use is one of the leaves. I've just got a bit of leftover paper from the strip from the bottom. So I'm just using one of these edged leaves and I'm going to die cut that out too. How cool is that? It's always great how Stampin' Up coordinate everything. So we'll just run and do that for you. So we have our little pieces now. We've got flower and leaves. We'll just bring our silicone mat back in. What you can do is just give that a touch of glue down there. So we have our little flower, and the same with our leaf. We can just add a tiny bit of glue. For this leaf, I'm actually putting it down the bottom. I thought it was just a nice little addition to have something down the bottom there rather than a bulky ribbon. I thought that the die cut leaf looked really nice. Now we can put this on the front of our card. We're just going to add some dimensionals. Add that to the front, and then we've got, I'm just using the smaller bits, or you can use the mini dimensionals. You don't need a lot of dimensionals on the back of this one. Little pearl to finish the front, and then we'll get to the inside. I might even actually use a bigger one. I tend not to use the bigger ones very often, so I think it's nice because it adds a bit of a extra highlight to the front of the card. Now for inside, you want to have something inside to make it pretty for the window. So we have our piece of Designer Series paper. We've also got, I've just added a little piece of white card. No particular dimensions. I mean, you could make it, you just want it slightly smaller for the top, but not seeing it through the clear acetate. But it just gives you a little bit of room to write your sentiment. So we're just adding that. So it's actually going to go line up at the bottom so that, I mean, it doesn't matter too much, but you have that section through it. You can center it if you prefer. So with your white card, I'm stamping the smaller leaf. I forgot to get that out. Let's grab that. Now we don't have the pre-peacock or Lost Lagoon ink at the moment, but what I discovered is using the Evening Evergreen. It matches really well at the moment, but just stamp it off. So just give it a light tap and just stamp it off on some scrap paper. So you're having a light inking. Hope you saw that okay. Just do that again. So we stamp that off on just some scrap paper. So that stamping it off just makes that a little bit lighter, a little more subtle. Now you can add another sentiment inside it if you want to, but you want to have a section to write on. So add your Tombow on there. Now don't forget, any of these products you can find in my store if you're in Australia. I love to serve you and help you out if you're not sure. So I will have the link in the comments, in the description on YouTube. If you have any questions about it, please don't hesitate to ask me. So there is your Dotty Peekaboo strip card. It's great having that little pattern paper going through the window that you can see it. Hope you get to make one. If you like it and you're watching on YouTube, give it a thumbs up, and I hope you can subscribe to my channel. If you're on Facebook watching it, give it a like and share it with your friends if you think that they would love to use it. But thanks for stopping by and watching with me today, and I hope you get your crafty stuff out and get creating and even make one of these peekaboo cards. And I'll see you in the next project video. Bye.